I will probably throughout try and ask you questions from different points of view. So it could seem to someone else, I don't think it'll seem to you, like I'm pushing a particular perspective or agenda, but then I'll switch to another one and I'll switch to another one, and I'm just trying to understand things and test things and so on. So it's like it's not going to be confrontational, but it might seem probing. And yeah, that seems good. Yes. Okay. So let's go back, because I still don't, we talked for about an hour and a half 4 years ago, and I'm sure I've learned things from that. It's hard to tell what I actually learned. I've watched a bunch of your stuff and thought a bunch, so it's hard to tell what I gained from that. But I still don't actually know what you're dealing with. But that's good, because it means I'm still coming to this curious. I actually haven't done as much research for this as I thought I would, because I realized, for all intents and purposes, this is going to be an introduction to many people, to you, or even to the subject at this depth. So coming to it kind of clueless on my part is probably just as well. And now we've agreed to lots of time, so I don't need to worry about barreling along. So going back to as early as seems appropriate, what are some things that you think are distinctive in your experience that relate to this?
You mean like?
Well, okay, no, let me try it somewhere else, a different way. I'm sure that there's lots of things that people are uncomfortable about during their lives. So things they're self-conscious about, things about their appearance, things about how they talk, things about how they socialize, all sorts of things. So what became, I don't want to put words into your mouth, but essentially unbearable, because I think, or unbearable enough that you did some radical things to address it?
I think that I am an unfortunately suggestible person, and when I was 17, I even more so. And I think I somehow convinced myself that being a girl, or a woman more specifically, would just be impossible.
Okay.
But
I want to make sure that initially we go through it as much as possible from your perspective pre-transition. So when you say you were suggestible, like you didn't think you were suggestible at the time, presumably. So I don't want to, for lack of a better word, contaminate that experience with your interpretation of it now.
Right.
Yeah, I want to get to that later. So like, what at the time, how did things seem?
At the time, I mean, I was very, very online. I think I would be one of the people who sort of like transitioned, from like sort of a social contagion type of cause.
Okay, I'm just going to say to anyone who might be watching this who's about to leave because they don't like that,
I was just about to say,
we will, like that's, we're not just going to push one point of view. I'm certainly not going to, so stick around, please.
Yes, no, I was just about to say, just because that happened to be the reason why I transitioned, that doesn't mean that I can't just be presumptuous and assume that, like, that's why every 17-year-old female transitions.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm thinking it's probably going to be hard to separate your interpretation of your experiences and decisions. I got lost my sense. It's probably going to be hard for you to separate your interpretation now of your past experiences from what it was like at the time. So I don't want to trip you up by insisting that you try to first say things from your past self's point of view, but I will try to get at it, because I want to give her credit.